Remember when id used to make games on their own rather than farm their intellectual property off to other developers? Pepperidge Farm remembers, and since we're going down memory lane, remember when we all used to roll our eyes and groan when a new World War II shooter was released, silently wishing devs would move on from a tired genre? How fucking naive are we? And this game proves it. id Tech 5. I could give this game multiple sins due to all the headaches associated with this engine and the recording of games built on it. BJ Blazkowicz, the only man to survive having his jaw transplanted with a cinder block. Seriously, anyone whose initials are BJ is not going to go by it. Oh no, that's fine. Don't let the opening cinematic wake you. You're letting your wife do the grilling? Look, I'm all for smashing through gender roles, but that's here in the present day. When I play a period piece, I expect accuracy, and that means sexism. Lots of sexism.
I see someone. I think I see someone.
If only the cameraman in your dreams would raise up an inch, then you would have no problem seeing her face. Or if this game didn't have cinematic letterbox during cutscenes.
Humbled by roaring engines. Warriors. We come from the night.
Yet your unit's attack is clearly carried out by day. So much for your poetic Band of Brothers line. One plane smashing into another plane's wing is only enough to damage a single engine. Why the hell is BJ Blazkowicz on a cargo plane for this mission that will either win or lose the war? Cargo planes just airdrop their supplies and then turn around. Shouldn't he be on one of the troop transports? Even a Nazi jet slamming into the cockpit of this plane is not enough to bring it down. In fact, all it destroys is the gun turret. If something hits you hard enough to stop your breathing, you are not going to be getting up for a while, CPR or not. You certainly aren't going to participate in a D-Day style invasion right afterward. That makes plane number 2 that's crashed into BJ in just the opening cutscene. Man, do planes just hate BJ or something? Hey, what happened to that unpiloted plane we just jumped out of that was cutting this plane in half with its propeller? They literally just closed the door on that and problem solved.
Have your fall back, Glasgow. Keep it back. We're coming down hard.
Well, at least this time you were in a plane that crashed into something. Any plane crash that throws you out of the plane is likely to kill you as well. I'm pretty sure BJ is dead and the rest of the game is just neurons firing. Hey, it's that scene from Saving Private Ryan. I hated that movie.
Everything has gone to shit. The Nazi war machine is advancing at an astonishing rate. We can't catch up.
Well, if you didn't spend so much time narrating about them during life and death situations, maybe you could have turned it around. A giant robot Nazi dog grabs BJ, then pukes him across the beach rather than bite down like it was doing to everyone else it grabbed out of the ocean. Now it helpfully shoved him into a space it can't reach. Clever girl.
Right. Before they saw it, I'll radio updates from that position.
Here, take this headset. Never you mind the fact that this is the 1940s and it has no portable battery to power it. Wow, these things suck. BJ should not have a left leg anymore.
Hey, doggy!
That actually worked. Why are these things such a threat if you can kill them by having one fetch a grenade?
General Death's Head. He's nearer to us now than he's been in years. You eliminate the General, we cut the head off the Crow War machine.
I have to question the logic of this mission. If Death's Head is the one creating all the advanced German technology, how would killing him make any difference? He's already invented all the stuff that's kicking your ass.
Inhale. Count 4. You can go. Exhale. 4. All is to come.
And don't forget to say namaste afterward. It's really spiritual, man.
We're having our ass tanned by some Nazi mutant fucking Frankenstein.
Worst tanning salon ever.
Are you lazy or wee roasted? This is a war. Not fucking Sunday church walk.
Dude, he just fucking tripped. Hell, you kept him on the ground and exposed longer by giving him this speech. I'm surprised both of you aren't dead.
Good team. My father and son.
Oh well, you just doomed all of them with your slow-motion sentimentality since this is an epilogue chapter, meaning something horrible is primed to happen. This guy has no magazine in his gun, and he's being sent up the wall. BJ didn't have a loaded weapon either. I foresee nothing unfortunate happening with this well-thought-out plan.
We find Death's Head, and we shoot him in the head.
I wonder if the devs realize how awkward that line is. This is why you don't put the word head in someone's name. Gotta admit, this wall-climbing part is pretty damn cool. There's another plane trying to kill BJ. And shouldn't their grappling lines have been severed by this thing if it crashed into the top of the building? BJ pries loose a several hundred-pound steel beam without a fulcrum. And there's a several hundred-pound rock that just flattened BJ's head. Considering what's going to happen to his head later, I'm kind of wondering how he wasn't already in a coma. Didn't the roof collapse? I mean, that's how you got down here, right? Yet that roof above you is in perfect condition.
This pipeline. Coming from that control box over there. What is it? It's some kind of room-sized incinerator. What did he just fucking do? So you thought about incinerating?
One, those incinerators would have a hard time incinerating the body directly below them. There's a reason mortuaries use ceramic-lined incinerators. And two, they most certainly wouldn't incinerate everything in the room.
So long since I practiced my knowledge. That's a dying karma.
Yet everyone will still be speaking it even after the Nazis win. So much for all those hyperbole political statements I've heard over the years that said otherwise. Death's Head is sporting every Nazi villain cliché except for the tiny mustache.
I've seen you before.
Oh, you must be the villain from that previous Wolfenstein game no one remembers.
I like yours.
Someone turn off that damn tea kettle.
Captain Blazkowicz. Let me make a choice.
If you're going to draw out your s like that, we are going to be here for a while.
Which one of these two varieties would best support my research? I have inadequate room. Los Angeles. Should you decline my opinion, I should have to put scalpel. Both of them will be here all day.
But you just said you have inadequate room for samples. If you put both of them to the scalpel, then that defeats the purpose of choosing just one.
All you need to do is look to the one you would have me dissect.
I'd be willing to bet the majority of people chose Wyatt to be dissected, and I kind of get the feeling that's the way the devs wanted it, since they didn't bother developing him at all, unlike Fergus. Saddest BJ ever. And don't forget to say namaste. This room was incinerated by a fireball earlier. How are all of the electronics still working? Holy hell, a villain that leaves someone behind to make sure his death chamber kills the good guys? What is this level of competence? Yeah, it doesn't work, but I'm still impressed enough to take off a sin. You know, rather than knock all these pipes shut and create a pressure bomb, you could have just turned the dial the Death's Head turned when he left. Seems simple enough to me. Multiple planes crashing into you, the plane crash you were in, and the rock falling on your head did put you in a coma. But the shrapnel? That was just the head injury that broke the camel's back, I guess. How fortunate were you to somehow get onto a piece of driftwood while in a vegetative state? I can hear his heart beating all the way over here on the boat. Oh, hell. I'm gonna have to turn on subtitles, aren't I? Lady, he's in a coma. The hand job could wait. By the way, what's his insurance plan?
Getting better. Because of her. Her name is Anya. She takes good care of me.
In over 14 years of her caring for you, you didn't notice her wiping your ass even once? That would kill the romance pretty quickly. Oh shit, am I playing a Ubisoft game? BJ spent 14 years in a coma with brain damage, yet maintained his amazing muscle mass and instant ability to murder Nazis. You fell asleep at the wheel while you were still driving through the country. You woke up driving through a tunnel, and those were some curvy-ass roads, so how did you manage that one? This Nazi literally jumps into the air so he can land on the hood rather than jump out of the way. I have no idea why the Nazi soldiers back at the clinic shoved their captain into the trunk of the car. Guess they read the script and realized the writers wrote themselves into a corner with what to do next, so they provided a way forward.
It's 1960.
1960.
Yes. You stayed with us for 14 years.
And you didn't age a day in that time. Honestly, you made the best of that situation.
The Nazis rule the world now. They are everywhere.
What about the U.S.?
They surrendered 12 years ago when Nazi atom bombed the country.
Ha! Irony.
Well, then I'll find the resistance. I'll find them and I'll help them fight.
No. More resistance. Everyone is captured. If they leave, the Nazis have them. And who can say where they keep them?
See? They literally stashed a plot device in the trunk of that car. Somehow this guy unties himself in the few seconds BJ was turned around and managed to stab the hell out of him with a screwdriver. Doesn't help him any though, since he's not a main character. That was still some main character level escape bullshit. God, these little melee fights are so funny. Dude, there's no reason to get cocky because the chainsaw failed to start. There's 100 other things in this shed to torture you with.
The resistance fighters, where are they? Berlin, Eisenwald, Dresden. Checkpoints everywhere. Looking for you and the nurse. You'll never find this place. Then you will be on your knees!
You know, if you wanted to provoke him into killing you, you could have tried that before you told him where the resistance fighters are being held.
Alarm!
Got to hand it to the Nazis in this game. They're pretty good at their jobs. There's something about the logic of strapping every helmet and chunk of metal BJ finds onto himself for armor that I just find hilarious. Wah wah, he doesn't know how to use a coffee machine. Ew, granny sex. This game doesn't use a silent protagonist cliche, but damn if it isn't still effective when BJ can't talk, else he give away that he's an American. People just keep talking despite the mute guy who won't answer them. Poor guy trying not to blow his cover. You cannot spill this coffee.
Yes.
You know, there's just one thing.
It's that fucking easy? Man, I need to become a barista. Wolfenstein's mood rendering technology is 5 years behind Metro Last Light. And Anya joins the club of fictional characters who put their underwear back on after sex just so they can get back into bed with a little modesty. No one inside heard the 200-pound man land on the roof of the truck. You know, you don't have to whisper your internal monologue. No one can hear you. Nazis are already the visual standard for evil. Making their holding cells look like an S&M fetish dungeon isn't going to improve that metric any more than it already is.
What have you been up to, Bosco? Shoot, stabbing, strangling Nazis.
Well, more or less the shooting and stabbing part. You did drown one in a toilet, so I guess that could count as strangling. Men, here are your orders. Shoot 2 rounds at the escaping prisoners, stop shooting, then take 3 steps forward, then start shooting again. This many security cameras on the same level with the same exact angle is pretty damn pointless. Also, Uber Watchung's camera is an adorable translation of security camera.
As long as we stay in this head fast, no one will see us.
After he says this and the cutscene ends, this is the view you're greeted with. Maybe the gas masks the Nazis wear in this game are obscuring their vision, because I would see them just fine.
How is this possible? We're in the very center of Berlin. You're hiding in plain sight.
Last place they would look cliche.
Fuck you. B.J. Blazkowicz. I should have known only you would be dumb enough to do a daytime entry. Glad to take you back.
This is what Caroline Becker looked like 14 years ago in the previous game. I guess she didn't age as gracefully as BJ did.
Here is pen and paper. Can I do typewriter? You know how to type? Yes. My parents thought I should learn.
How do you become America's best-selling brand?
Shoulder pads, helmet, safety first. Have fun out there, guys.
Be the hammer, not the nail.
Lead with the shoulder, drive through the body. Grab the arm, go, go, go!
Who are you?
Bob is building champions.
Safe, tough, and game day ready. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand.
Right now, get into a Built Ford Tough F-150 for as little as $199 a month. Just $199 a month.
Hi, welcome to Batteries Plus Bulbs. What can I do for you today? Oh man, what happened here?
You're all set. Good thing we fixed it.
Yes. My parents thought I should learn. For you to take dictation, prescriptions and such.
You just met her and she didn't mention that her parents ran a mental hospital. So how did you figure that she took down prescriptions?
Today's scurrying like rats are over. These machines in our possession, they can go in there, hit eggs.
Well, anywhere within the range of its fuel tanks. But please, continue with your unrealistic hyperbole.
People rise up and take down
that said, is still alive? He was already pretty old when the game started in 1946. Does age not matter to these characters anymore?
Chasing some more so far. To feel weak, beaten, don't have that guts to oppose and as followers say,
You have less than a dozen people. They rule the world. No amount of pep talks or stealth choppers is going to change the odds in your favor.
I've got a 14-hour drive. I've got a sinus infection. I haven't had a full night's sleep in 8 months. So let's go, people. Because I'm not doing this again.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Suicide bombers only come back if they screw up.
I think I found something.
what do you see?
Do we really need to see Anya sitting still talking over the radio while BJ is finding the next plot point?
Are there any identifying marks?
Yeah, you should. Dog, Abel, apostrophe. Abel, Tara, space. Yo, Guidem, Charlie, Hal, Uncle Dog.
Just say the fucking letters!
Might be something in our archives, Anya.
But for Christ's sake, it's like watching Ang Lee's Hulk. Considering these are experimental helicopters that you guys have no experience flying, how did you know they could do that? Also, doing this right in the middle of Berlin means everyone likely knows where your secret base is now.
Quite a fall there, Mr. Big Cheese. You're in the sewer system now. You will find your way back here if you have a look around, yeah?
Or you could throw down a ladder, or a rope. Anything, really, that would avoid this obvious padding section.
We can't assault a site of this magnitude and hope to locate him before the whole damn Nazi army arrives.
What is the plan?
Someone needs to go in there and find him.
These guys apparently know who the main character is. For a black guy working in a Nazi labor camp, this guy is in amazing shape.
The first day is tough, King. I have to accept. It gets no easier.
Why does Bombate get subtitles like he's speaking a foreign language? Yeah, he speaks with an accent, but so does everyone besides BJ, and they don't get subtitles.
I'm looking for a man. Set wrong. I have heard of him. Survived it here longer than any other. He's in Block 4. Do you want to go there? Did he direct the uniform? Look for a prisoner. Over there. By your right. In a Block 4 uniform, stay down with Milo. I heard his wife is quartered in our block. Maybe that will infiltrate uniform. Let's go.
About 3 minutes into infiltrating the concentration camp, BJ already has a lead on Set Roth and the means of getting to him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those guards 5 feet away from you would still notice 2 guys undressing.
Heard of places like this. Auschwitz. Buchenwald. From east to west.
How did you hear about that? This game is set in a world where the Nazis won. The Allies didn't discover the concentration camps until the end of the war.
This Shimsha. So much muscle with the secret. Except Roth, I'm not sure yet.
There are Jews still alive in this world? Seems out of character for what we know about Nazis.
I believe that there, at the God's village, there's a control module that composes security systems. Find a way in.
Finding a way in is as easy as opening the unlocked basement door. Really? That sucker punch was enough to knock out a guy who's already been hit by 2 planes? BJ seems to have quite the tolerance for stabbing. This is the second time and it's barely fazed him. There is something very RoboCop 2 about this Nazi robot. I think it's the fold-out arm. Yeah, whipping the steel robot will fix it.
And I will feed your flesh to the furnace.
Raw Engel survives this. BJ didn't know how a copy machine worked earlier, but hell if he can't pilot a robot on his first try. Bombate gets shot multiple times here and not only survives, but drives to the hideout. Seriously, no explanation is given. I did a double take when I saw him back at the secret base.
Das Secret is an ancient mystical society. For millennia, we've operated without those secrets.
What do you do? Do you pray?
No, Mama, we don't pray. We invent things. The technology developed in Das Secret is centuries ahead of anything ever seen or imagined, and highly dangerous in the wrong hands.
I kind of like Wolfenstein a lot more when it's about magic and the occult, not advanced technology created by a secret group of ancient Jewish mystics.
Goddamn Nazi U-boat? This is what you're proposing? Are you up your head, man?
I don't know what's more offensive, that I have to use the term retard strength in this video, or that this game has a character that's defined by it.
You still got it, old man.
That couldn't have been more than 10 pounds. You were grunting with just 2 ribs. You do not still got it.
Jesus Christ, Tekla. Why aren't you asleep?
Hey, everyone has a fetish, BJ. It's healthy.
Let me ask you something. You will not understand. Where do you go when you lose consciousness?
Well, in this game, when I slept once, I woke up in Wolfenstein 3D. Is that what you meant?
In other words, you are your electrochemical process. Fundamentally, you have experienced a continuous existence. You are you at this point in time, the same you as you were in the past, and you have a sensation of riding along the continuum of
Tumblr blogging? Yep, Tumblr blogging.
an outlier, useless. A laughing angel is what you are.
Also, how did Anya not wake up at any point during that rambling speech until she slammed the door?
A laughing angel is what you are.
Well, that was a weird optional cutscene. It did give me the new term, laughing anus, though.
Would you deliver this note to Anya? She will need the frequency of the transponder to track the thing.
She's like 5 feet away on the other side of the room. Could have just yelled.
Let's get in.
If those two had started banging a second earlier, Klaus wouldn't have had to ask. You know, I'm generally happy when a game gets one realistic sex scene, unlike that weak stuff you get in BioWare games. But when it gets two, well, that's top 10 list material.
We're leaving.
Blue balls.
They supply the torpedoes. Always enough the U-boats in Europe. We'll hide in the torpedo. Force will slip it back into main supply. And you will wake up on the U-boat for breakfast time.
When the guys loading the torpedo BJ is going to hide inside realize that it's nowhere near as heavy as it should be.
Come on, man. I'll fuck the pig. You just hold the ears.
Speaking of pig fucking, the ears don't seem like a particularly good gripping point.
Dark dreams seem to fade. Too far out of reach. Now I just missed the night.
Don't worry, after this cutscene ends, the inside of this torpedo is lit up like a family room. Just like before with a robot, how can BJ pilot a sub no problem, but not work the espresso? Set Ross said you needed a deep-sea sub to reach Yahood's vault. But the fact that you're in diving suits and the presence of coral reefs tells me that was a lie. This can't be that deep if there's coral around.
My father taught me this rhyme as a child. And many other songs for different places.
How does singing a song underwater open the vault? I mean, sound doesn't transfer that well through water.
Warning! Bobby Mice, just step inside. Yeah? There's a transition chamber. The main hall.
Wait. What do you mean, warning?
Yeah, warning. The instructions are old and faded. Let's go.
This game starts to play the whole ignored ancient warning cliche, but then nothing happens, which makes me wonder why they bothered. Even people with advanced technology before their time would not bother building sci-fi staircases. You want to know the height of stair technology? An escalator.
Fuck me. I know what you're thinking, Blasco. No chance. I'm keeping this thing.
You give that to Caroline.
Why? She's crippled, and you couldn't possibly know that it would let her walk again.
How to intercept a high-speed Nazi troop transport train?
Best side will be the Gibraltar Bridge.
Okay, but how?
Set. Any ideas?
We can use this one. This is very, very powerful.
Or they could use that submarine BJ stole and it's hold full of torpedoes that bring down the bridge. But I guess that's not enough of a spectacle. Well, at least it's not the Golden Gate Bridge that's being destroyed for once.
Yeah, Blasco, see that railway wagon mark number 6 dangling over the edge like a bundled up horse's head on a broken neck? Says London Nautica on it. That's chief research scientist should be outside.
What was your plan if you plunged the Nazi researcher into the ocean? You need his papers to sneak onto the moon base. You left his train car dangling by a thread.
I'll drop you off at the nearest safe spot. You head for that Nautica wagon, right?
Can't drop him a bit closer? Like, right next to him, maybe? Let's throw him over the side. Why is that such a hard thing for people to think of?
Fast, you foul fucking Frankenstein!
Really? His head was a foot away from the wall. How did you measure that one?
I'm gonna have you dying on me, Blasco! Jump in!
Oh, now you can fly him right to the train car. Now that he's already crossed most of the bridge. Space Nazis. They actually went there. The Nazis apparently increased gravity on the moon, since it's no different from the Earth. Wouldn't it have been a better idea to keep the disguise? It was working after all.
Caroline, Anya, do you read?
Can you hear me? What's your status?
Your headset radio would not be able to contact Earth from the moon. Hey, gravity is back to normal now that BJ is outside. BJ just found a gold meteor on the moon. Collectibles, everyone. You couldn't have waited until after the mission to cut that tattoo off? Or better yet, done it before you went to the moon?
Right. I'm printing decryption keys now.
You just hit the bracket key and print screen. Were the nuclear decryption keys already open in that DOS box? That sounds like something you would at least keep hidden in the folder labeled cat photos. Remember that coffee machine again? Well, here's BJ piloting a spaceship through re-entry. And remember, when he went into a coma in 1946, space travel wasn't even a thing. Also, that ship would in no way survive re-entry. No ceramic tiles, no parachute, and BJ isn't even strapped in when it crashes into a building. At this point, sure, why not? That could totally happen.
Berlin. Come in, Berlin. What's your status?
Yes, Russ. I don't know how much longer we can stick it out. Place is overrun with death type men.
If the resistance base is in Berlin and BJ is in London, wouldn't he be way too late to do anything about the Nazis attacking the resistance? It was mentioned earlier that that's a 14-hour drive. There's an elementary-style math problem somewhere in here. Neither of these two were wearing a seatbelt. That nosedive into the ground should have thrown both of them out the window.
How do you arrive? Everything in accordance with the numbers. This day, the number of consequence is 19.
It would almost have been worth it to choose Fergus at the beginning so I would have Wyatt's cool, possible Jimi Hendrix friend instead of this crazy math broad.
Welcome back to Berlin, Raskovich.
He's the punk Iron Man. I see that the cameraman finally figured out how to shoot that daydream scene.
Don't fuck this up, you magnificent cunt.
All video games going forward should include this line.
Red sauce.
It took me a lot longer than it should have to realize that Max can only say his name. Just like Hodor in Game of Thrones. So I guess we can deduce where that character idea came from. It all ends where it began cliche. Didn't you only have one of those? And didn't you use it to destroy the bridge? BJ can only ever be beaten in cutscenes, and it's always by someone sucker punching him.
Ich habe ein Geschenk für dich, mein Schatz.
Wirklich? Ich liebe Geschenke. Zeigst du es mir?
BJ is directly in front of this computer webcam, yet Frau Engel can't see him until Booby brings him a few feet closer. More stabbing immunity. Tranquilizers not work on people with brain damage. I'm going to assume that's bullshit.
Captain Blaskowitz. Still fighting after all these years. I see you are listening. Remember me?
I'm more interested in how you knew which brain was Wyatt's amongst the hundreds that you have. Was his that important? There is something very Robocop 2 about this Nazi robot. Wait, didn't I do this sin already? Losing one weapon in a cutscene means you lost all of your weapons. Isn't this the same final boss from the original Wolfenstein 3D? Only not piloted by Hitler? At least Deathshead doesn't have a stabbing immunity.
Tell me you're tired. You're bored. Your total mass is yearning to breathe free.
Symbolism!
Glasgow, do you read? Am I clear to fire?
You're clear.
Sacrificing yourself is one thing, but what about Anya and the others? They're clearly not out of range of an atomic bomb. And why even nuke this place now? Deathshead is dead. Just call off the bombing. In-credits sequel baiting.
Come on, man. I'll fuck the pig. You just hold the ass.